Coming up on the Middle Class VO podcast. One of my favorite coaches has told me this over and over again, and I still don't do it every time. If you have that out-of-the-box, different audition, make that your first one if you're doing 2 takes.
If you need e-learning, we're just an email away. Corporate narration, tell us what to say. Explainer video, imaging radio, slinging local cars, reading IVR. No, we ain't no stars. This is the Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast.
Well, hello from Nashville, Tennessee. Kevin Kilpatrick here with Bobbi Maxwell, who is usually in Cincinnati, but guess what?
I'm here! Socially distanced, of course.
Socially distanced, of course. We're doing the podcast live together. This time around, we get to do this maybe once a year, and it's been, a good 2 years probably since the last time we were together?
I think it
is.
In
the same room?
Yeah. It's been a while.
So that's cool. So just for perspective, we just had dinner. We had...
and Kevin can cook a mean steak. No, I'm sorry. Grill a mean steak.
Well, if it involves fire, I can handle it usually. That's what I'm...
Thank you for dinner. That was
you're
awesome.
welcome. And that's a good drink, water. So... But it is the Middle Class VO podcast, and we thought we would do a special episode from the Nashville studio and talk about auditions.
Oh, yeah. Something, if you're a true VO, you should be doing every day, multiple times.
Yeah, for sure. And so many people want to know, what's the trick? What's the, I don't know, what's the tip? What's the tool? What do you do? And I don't know. It's various things. It could be anything. It could be nothing.
Right. A lot of times it's the casting person or the producer or the client. They say, we'll know when we hear it. Mm-hmm. And it's nothing that you could have done any better or any differently. It's just they know what they're looking for and something is going to click for them.
Yeah, and I've actually, I read an article one time and it talked about various casting directors and sometimes how the decisions are made. And sometimes the decision is made is because they're tired and they're tired of hearing people and they choose one of the last ones.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of crazy stuff that will happen. So, we beat ourselves up in this industry over auditioning. We don't need to. We gotta do them, send them, forget them, right?
Yeah. And something that is really, really big, and I hear this over and over and over again, is don't do it necessarily how you think they want to hear it. Step out of the box. You're an actor probably, or, you're going to be a good voice actor. Something that's going to just shake them up a little bit, like you said, something different that nobody else would do. Because if they are listening to, 100 auditions back to back to back to back, you're going to stick out and they're going to put you on the short list.
Yeah.
And so make it you, make it different. Don't make it what you think they want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard coaches tell me, they're like, Kev, don't try to sound like we think we want to hear. Don't try to sound like that. Be you. Make it memorable. Make it different. And speaking of that, Bobbi and I, we thought we would run down, some of our auditions that we've done here in the last while that have actually landed gigs. And I haven't heard Bobbi. She hasn't heard mine. And I'm going to give honest feedback on her audition, why I think it booked, and she's going to do the same for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little unnerving, but you and I have been doing this for a while, and I feel comfortable being around you and exposing myself and being vulnerable. This is a safe place, Bobbi, isn't it?
I always feel safe with you.
So Bobbi's going to get started and break it down for us, Bobbi. Tell us about this audition. What it was, what the specs, the usage, we don't want to talk about budget or anything, but just the usage and if you recall the specs, and then we're going to play the audition.
I do recall the specs. And This was not on a pay-to-play or through an agent. This actually came through my website, which
wow.
I love that when when they find you for some reason. And I specifically asked him when he hired me, when he gave me the specs, I was like, "Oh, really?" Because I typically don't do that type of voice. And it's like the complete opposite of what I would normally do. Is there a particular cut you heard on one of my demos? So his name is Andrew, and Andrew works for a company, and they are doing a children's story. And they're looking for a female, wise, old elder. And so it would be obviously older and... he didn't say like Oprah Winfrey, but that's who I would immediately think of. Or what's the other actress's name? That was Viola Davis.
Viola Davis.
Viola Davis, yeah.
Viola
That's
Davis.
who I would think. That's kind of who I patterned after. And so I sent him with what, I thought might be a wise old elder.
Okay. Well, we got to hear this now. We got to hear the audition, and then we will come back and talk about it, and then we will play the real spot, the actual recording of it.
There's no such thing as a bad decision if you carefully consider all the possibilities and do your best. It's important to trust yourself. Worrying doesn't help. Use 2 magic words when you try your best, but fail to reach your goal. Oh, well.
Wow. Okay, so no, what I got from that was old, wise lady, which, there's about 100 jokes I could throw in right there about my good friend Bobby Maxwell.
Watch it,
but
buddy.
I'm not going to.
I'm older, but I'm not that much older.
No, not at all. But, to me, that totally fit the spec. Are there different choices that could have been made by those that cast that? Of course. But you fit the specs, so you had that much going for you right away. And you were believable. You were, I believed that character that you were reading. So to me, I think that's why you booked. And it's an animation, you said?
It's a children's story.
Children's story.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's online.
Okay.
But the thing is Kev, I don't ever do that voice. I'm, me, I'm kind of bright and bubbly and friendly. And, I do a lot of automotive, so it's very upbeat. So I had to think, her name is Hygeia. How would Hygeia sound? What would a wise old elder be? And I thought, wise old owl. So I wanted to be like...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went with an animal.
Wow.
Because it's a children's story, and that's where that came from. I saw an old owl sitting in a tree talking down to, some baby owls.
Those that were not as wise. Some baby owls not as wise. Well, that's excellent, and that just goes to show you follow the specs, take a chance, because certainly not everybody would think, let me channel an owl here. Nobody's going to think that right away, but you took a chance, and I think that's a big part of auditioning is taking chances like that. So yeah, kudos on that, Bobby. Very good.
And something to think about, and one of my favorite coaches has told me this over and over again, and I still don't do it every time. If you have that out of the box, different audition, make that your first one if you're doing 2 takes. So do what, think might cause a little interest, and then what you think they might want would be your second one, because you want to grab them, because they may not get to the second take.
You got to grab them right away.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent point.
Okay, so what do you have?
So this one is for Cracker Barrel cheese, which Cracker Barrel, not everybody knows what Cracker Barrel is, but in the South, we know what Cracker Barrel is. It's a chain of restaurants, and it's the old country store. They have a store, and then, it's Southern fried food, basically. Good old,
so good.
It's good old home cooking, but it's a chain of them, and they've also released their own cheese brand. And so this particular audition was for the cheese of Cracker Barrel cheese, which is very good, by the way. I'll say that. So the audition came in, and the description was husband and wife having a conversation about which cheese to choose at the store. They're at the checkout line, and they're having a debate, basically, on what cheese to choose before heading home. That was the specification. That was the layout. The direction, 3 words. no discernible accent.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. That's
really?
it. So that gave me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm a husband. I know how those conversations go, 100%. So let me tap into that.
Should we bring Deborah in here?
Yeah, probably so. Deborah! Oh, you're in here. Of course. She's got that mama hearing.
She's the real wife. I'm the work wife.
She's got that mama hearing and she's got that wife hearing, man. So, Deborah, come here, please. So, when I auditioned for this, all I had to do was think about a conversation that this lady right here
Your
and
lovely wife.
Deborah, just say hi so they can hear you.
Hello.
So she and I have had many conversations about, what's the best choice to make and, all that stuff. And so I'm like, let me try to tap into that, be as real as I can. But I wanted to take some chances with vocalizations and try to be more normal sounding rather than immediately diving into the text and start talking like Johnny Radio Boy, because we know after doing years that that doesn't work. So you got to take chances. So, and bear in mind, this is a dialogue audition, so I have no female to bounce back. So I did the lines like 2 at a time. So, which was another interesting choice, apparently, from what I heard. So anyway, here it is. Wait. I did choose that cheese. I did choose that cheese. Are you challenging my cheese choice? Are you challenging my cheese choice? What cheese did you choose? But what cheese did you choose? Oh, your cheese choice is a choosier choice than my cheese choice. Oh, your cheese choice is a choosier choice than my cheese choice. Another challenging choice at the checkout. Another challenging choice at the checkout. So...
Okay, why I think you booked it is because you did not read it verbatim. You did your little hems and haws in there. And that's natural, and that's what they want. They wanted a real couple. So it was conversational. It was, and it sounded like you were talking to somebody, even though the female voice wasn't in there. So I think that's why you got it.
Good.
It was not announcery at all. It was very conversational. And it was also kind of snarky, which I think...
Well, again,
Yeah, no,
she's right here, so... No, we do that with each other, but in a loving way. So it's kind of, you know how that goes. It's kind of funny. But I was able to tap into conversations that she and I have had about, what's the best choice on, toilet paper to get or whatever. In this case, it was, cheese. So I was able to get into that. And, something I did on purpose was I did do those vocalizations. And I would try to think of it like, okay, I'm interjecting here. I don't always, when I'm replying to Deborah, my wife, I don't always, speak to her. And the first thing out of my mouth is an actual well-enunciated word.
Right.
It'll be something like, wait a minute, or hey, or oh, or, something like that. It will sometimes be something like that. And so that's what I was trying to tap into. I got lucky. It was one of those things I'm like, okay, I get this guy. I know this guy.
And you nailed it. And not only
thanks.
did you nail it, you got a SOVIS award for it.
Well, that's really sweet of you. But here is, and then it really does kind of come together with the actual spot.
Did you choose this cheese?
I did choose that cheese.
You want to check out this choice of cheese?
Are you challenging my cheese choice?
I was hoping you'd be a bit choosier with your cheese choices.
What cheese did you choose?
I chose this cheese, Cracker Barrel Black Ribbon Slices. It's the choicest cheese chosen by the choosiest cheese choosers from the places in America that champion cheese.
Your cheese choice is a choosier choice than my cheese choice.
Do you want paper or plastic?
Another challenging choice at the checkout.
Cracker Barrel Black Ribbon Slices. Choose wisely.
So there's the end of the spot. And that little kid at the end is really good too. You want paper or plastic?
I know, that
Yeah,
was
he's really
great.
cute,
That was a good way. Now, question, when you actually recorded your lines, was she on the line with you?
No. It was a session with a couple of directors and then a producer. And I can't recall if the end client was actually there. I think it was just a producer and 2 directors. But no, she wasn't. I don't know. I think it would have helped in a way, but I'm really happy with how it came out. And
I think the spot's great. It's
Thank you.
And that was a
cute.
national spot, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, I had people calling me, "Hey, Kevin."
Is that how you got this new house?
No. This is the house automotive paid for, Bobby. Right, dear?
Yes, dear.
But so there's that. So I know another one, Bobby, that I was curious to hear about, your Charles Schwab gig, because I know they started running that during the elections. Deborah and I just actually saw that spot last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I'm like, okay.
Which really surprised me because usually they'll do like, what, a 13-week buy?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's been months and months.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the agreement reflects that because it was came through a good source and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
so.
but that was all over. And that came from my main manager, my agent.
Okay.
The direction this is for Charles Schwab.
Charles Schwab, yeah.
We'll need an actor, someone who can be on set acting our scenes, but will be comfortably doing it in a booth looking at a picture instead. Well, I don't think that's right.
I mean, I get that, though. They were just saying they really want you to be in the moment, maybe?
Yeah, but overall they said fun, funny, wry, clever, be able to convey interest, be smart, and most importantly, they need to be an actor that can convey the character behind the person in the pictures.
Okay.
Okay, so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She's not actually speaking.
Right.
It's more pictures of her, and then my voice is her.
Yeah, it's almost inner dialogue kind of stuff almost, where you're hearing the voice of the person that's on screen, but they're not speaking. You're not seeing them mouth the words.
Right.
It's not like a dub. So.
Right.
So it's like, this is what this person is thinking about right now.
Yeah. And that was very interesting. That was a very interesting session when they were recording. We were on there for a long time.
Well, let's do the audition first.
Okay.
I want to hear. So you got these notes. Must be funny, smart, wry, and convey the person on screen.
So here's my audition. We're going to play it.
This is Andy, my Schwab financial consultant. And here's Andy listening to my goals and making plans. This is us talking tax smart investing, managing risk, and all the ways Schwab can help me invest and keep costs low. Here's when Andy told me there's no fee to talk to him. I love a good working lunch. Oh, here's me learning about Schwab's satisfaction guarantee. Accountability. It's a Schwab thing. So yeah, Andy and I made a good plan. Find your own Andy at Schwab. Schwab, a modern approach to wealth management.
Skip-it-a-ba-ba-ba.
Wow. I mean, I close my eyes and listen to it, and that's quintessential Bobby right there. It really is. I mean, it sounds just like you. It sounds just like you, and I believed you, too. I believed everything you were saying, and it was comfortable. It was feel good. It was all of that stuff. And, I don't know if that's 100% one thing you can nail down, but cumulatively, that's why you booked. All the little nuances, all the little things that, you're comfortable. You're very comfortable sounding there. And yeah, you could tell this person was sharp and that she was fun-loving and fun to be around. So yeah, all of that stuff, you hit it. And well, no wonder you booked that.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
You want to hear the spot?
I do. And if you want to check this out, you could probably find it on iSpot.tv where they have a lot of commercials, but it's one of the more recent Charles Schwab campaigns.
Yeah, it'll say Andy.
Yeah, Andy is the name of it. But yeah, let's hear the audio.
This is Andy, my Schwab financial consultant. Here's Andy listening to my goals and making plans. This is us talking tax smart investing, managing risk, and all the ways Schwab can help me invest. This is Andy reminding me how I can keep my investing costs low and that there's no fee to work with them. Here's me learning about Schwab's satisfaction guarantee. Accountability. I like it. So yeah, Andy and I made a good plan. Find your own Andy at Schwab, a modern approach to wealth management.
Yeah, I have to confess, Bobby, I've heard that, or I've seen the spot several times. It started running during the elections. And like I said, Deborah and I, we saw you do it. It was on a couple of weeks ago. We saw it. And so, yeah, we've got that down. And it's just like I said, it's quintessential Bobby. It's like there's no mistaking that sound. It's unique, but it's not unique in a weird way. You nail it. And it's just beautiful.
Well, thanks. That was one of the instances, since it was a national spot, where I got calls from friends who said, "Did you do a spot for an investment company?" Because it sounded so much like my personality.
Yeah, and and that's one of the things I learned when one of my coaches that I train with over the last year is finally she was like, Kevin, when you're you, it's so much better.
Yeah.
When you're you, just filter you through the script. Kind of a deal. And that's what I heard in that Charles Schwab spot. And that's what's helped me, increase my bookings. So you and I talk about this. But coaching, training with some really good, reputable coaches has been a game changer for me over the last few years.
Absolutely.
And I only wish I had, done it sooner. So.
And, something about that is when you see the specs, don't get caught up. Don't get in your head. Like, I have to be like, oh my gosh, they say, sound like Demi Moore, sound like Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
You don't have to sound like that celebrity or that actress or actor. Be you, but you're kind of going along with the same vibe as that person. As Kevin said, just you're being yourself. So add you to that audition. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to hear it because you're most comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, I would almost say start with you and then filter in the reference that they're talking about. Just be thinking about that character.
But I want to ask you that because I mentioned a couple of the female voices that you see all the time on specs. Kind of like we have Scarlett Johansson. Who are the males?
Okay. Let's see. You see, crap ton of Sam Elliott.
Yep.
You see Dennis Leary a lot. You see Dennis Haysbert from the Allstate commercials quite a bit. Yeah. Let's see who else. My goodness. You see a lot of John Krasinski. From The Office. And, he's gone on to so much other great stuff. Matt Damon now and then. Morgan Freeman ad nauseum.
Yeah.
But the Morgan Freeman reference has gone away, as has the Sam Elliott some.
Have you noticed they're getting younger? The celebrities are getting younger.
Yeah.
A lot younger.
Yeah, and then there's some I go, well, who's this? And I got to look them up.
Yeah.
Always look it up, by the way. If you don't know who it is, look up a video of the person. You know who needs to be doing a lot of voiceover work, and I know he's doing some, is James Spader. Do you know James Spader from Blacklist? Mm-hmm. He is so good. He is so good. Anyway.
It's funny because if you go look up some of the top talent agencies, you'll see a lot of those celebrities in the voiceover talent roster, and you think, oh, wow, we're going up against them.
Yeah.
For some jobs.
Yeah, and that's the truth, Ruth. That is so funny. Jeff Bridges is another one, by the way. I'm trying to think of some of the more, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. I cannot.
Where he rolls the boogers in his fingers.
Oh, yeah, and then the Lincoln commercials. I can't do, if they reference Matthew McConaughey, I try so hard to just put on a little Texas drawl. Mm-hmm. But I can't help but to go into Matthew McConaughey, and just I do the audition with my shirt off, y'all. Play the bongos.
That's pretty good.
Well, it's never booked me anything. So
because they don't want Matthew McConaughey.
No. They want somebody.
Kevin.
They want Kevin channeling little Matthew Texas drawl. But anyway, I'll go on to this next one that I did, and this was a really fun spot. It's a new. It's like a Keurig. It's a Bruvi coffee maker, Beruvi, but it's really cool. It's like a Keurig on steroids. It has a lot of great features, and it does, better for the environment apparently. And I'm not slamming one company or another, but this just is the specs of this thing. I recall the specs. They sent a great reference of this guy that was pitching some resealable plastic containers that are in between like a baggie and a closable lid plastic container. But but it's this guy, and he's brilliant. He is hilarious. He's got this dry wit about him, and he's just so funny without trying. But, he's just really, really funny. So they gave him as a reference, but, clever, witty, ability to improv. And I'm like, I can do that. Okay, that's Kevin. Kevin's a smart ass. That's right up his alley. So with that being said, this was the first few seconds of the actual audition.
Skibidi-ba-ba-ba.
The perfect cup of coffee, only attained by the most skilled of hands. Wait,
We're doing the Broovy thing. Ah, Broovy is here to shatter everything you know or think you know about pod-based coffee. Let's do it. We're talking coffee so strong, smooth, and full-bodied, you won't believe it was brewed from a pod. It's like your own little countertop coffee house, minus the barista with the attitude. Because life is too short for bad coffee. And this brainy brewer wants you to enjoy every drop. And do you know where bad coffee usually comes from? The bad side of Beantown. No, coffee pods. Anyway,
that's awesome.
And a fair amount of what you just heard was ad-libbed, improv.
Was it really?
Yeah, and that was one of the things that they said that they liked, is, the improv. And, I have some people to thank for that. Scott Parkin, for one, just for inspiration, mostly. We've been together in the same room, and I've gotten his vibe. But I've actually done some hardcore improv training here in Nashville with the improv group, here. And it's helped. Jace Patrick, Jace? Yeah, we were in one of the classes together. So that was a lot of fun. He and I had a lot of fun doing that.
Oh, if you have an improv class in your town, take it.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and it's fun too.
It is so much fun, and a couple of things I've booked over the last few months have been improv related, and so I'm starting to trying to maximize that or capitalize on that, and going, okay, I'm having some success there. I'm getting some traction there, so take more chances, and that actually listening back to that, I'm like, gosh, I don't know why, to me, it kind of sounded a little bit lame. The actual spot sounded a lot better, and I'm just thankful that I got the gig. But I think they liked the improv and that I was, trying to be clever and trying to be funny. And
I like how you kind of jumped around. You were a different personality in the beginning, and then you went into the wry kind of guy. And yeah, I can see why you definitely booked. Can we hear it?
Yeah. And just so you know, and that's how that spot kind of went. They were like this, the opening one, they wanted to sound kind of suave and kind of, like this is some elegant coffee maker. And then you go into the character.
Right.
The perfect cup of coffee, only attained by the most skilled of hands. Wait, we're doing the Broovy thing.
There it is.
Broovy is here to shatter everything you know or think you know about pod-based coffee. Let's go. We're talking coffee so strong, smooth, and full-bodied, you won't believe it was brewed from a pod. It's like your own little countertop coffee house without the barista with the attitude, because life is too short for bad coffee. And this brainy brewer wants you to enjoy every drop. And you know where bad coffee usually comes from? Coffee pods.
That is awesome. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. And I start singing the Folgers jingle in that.
Really?
And they go, and it's written intentionally in the script. Oh, that's copyrighted. And so I have to stop, and I was able to improv a little bit around that. They said, try some different things. And it was truly why we do this job, was to be able to do a session like that where you're able to have fun, where you're able to just ham it up and go, they like me. They really like me.
Yeah.
And you love those sessions. So it kind of went like that. And they were just so pleased with all the stuff that I brought to the table. So consider that. And, I've learned a lot, just from listening to what you did on your auditions. And
the big thing now, and you see this a lot with the national spots especially, they don't want announcers anymore. It's all conversational or characters or just, you'll hear some voices and think, oh my gosh, how did they get that job? That's what they want. They want the everyday person. And a lot of the specs now will say, well, if you have comedic abilities, put them in there. Mm-hmm. Because it's just, it's different.
Yeah, and I'll share this. If a spot says real, next door neighbor, conversational, any kind of direction that leans that way, feel free to take a chance on a little bit of improv. When Bobby's talking about when they say comedic, and if they say improv in there, oh yeah, they want some
Definitely.
improv.
Yeah.
I mean, do it. I mean, but if you get hints of, hey, really conversational, can't sound like an announcer at all, feel free to mix it up with some improv. Put some vocalizations in there and go, hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
Just any little trick. I mean, it's gonna help stand out against the next guy.
And always make sure your audio is top notch. You're not, you're not sending them a bad, because as Kev, we were talking about this earlier, if there's 4 people being considered, they're going to throw out the one that has the bad audio behind them.
Yeah.
So you just lost your job just because your studio didn't sound up to par.
Yeah, and, feel free to reach out to friends, people that might have more experience with tech than you and say, hey, check this out. Let me know, be blunt with me. Tell me if I need to tweak this, whatever. You got to get your audio right for sure because it all adds up to booking that audition.
Yeah.
All
And
that stuff.
don't be frustrated when you audition and then you hear or see the spot and it's totally different from what the specs were, because it happens all the time.
That happens.
The director just decides to go in a different direction, or you threw something in during that session that they went, hey, we never thought it could be like this, and totally went, a different sound totally for the spot.
Yeah. You can't get your feelings hurt. Do the audition. Send it. Do it according to the specs. Make sure you fit the specs and send it and then forget it.
Them's the facts.
This whole episode, by the way, of the Middle Class VO podcast is we're talking about auditions and, successes we've had and trying to help you too listening, but I'll go back and listen to my auditions like a week or two later and just go, oh, Kev, you screwed the pooch.
Isn't that funny?
And
Yep.
yeah, and I'm like, and then I'll listen to others and I'm like, man, I should be considered for this one, and maybe you are, but you got to remember there's only one opening for that job that dozens and dozens and hundreds in some cases are applying for. So you can't get your feelings hurt. Why didn't they pick me? Well, because it's a numbers game in a lot of ways, but you got to have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed and your skills sharp and your audio good, and it all adds up to a good audition.
And just be different, because you might be that one person, though. Don't go with the status quo, because you could be. And don't get frustrated. Just keep auditioning. Forget it. Move on to the next one.
Okay. And a little tease. Yeah, I know. Bobbi and I have been talking about this back and forth for a while, and we feel like we have something to offer. And, I've been mentoring some people just on the side just to kind of do it. And Bobbi and I, if you've probably picked up on this, but we love to give back. We like to help people. With that being said, this podcast takes a crap ton of time to do and produce and all that good stuff. So what we thought we would do is bring it to you in another way and do a Middle Class VO workout. We interrupt your regularly scheduled Middle Class VO podcast with this breaking news story. I'm Gurn Blankley.
And more importantly, I'm Patricia Van Wetherington. Officials at McVop have just informed us that they'll be hosting a Middle Class VO workout Monday, May the 10th.
That's right, Pat. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central, the so-called Middle Class VO workout will be hosted via Zoom, where voice actors will read from various genres of voiceover.
Apparently such genres as commercial, automotive, e-learning, radio imaging, political, and others, G-Man.
Indeed, Patty Melt. Reports indicate that Society of Voice Arts winning voice actors Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobbi Maxwell, well, that doesn't sound like a name her mother gave her, will offer feedback, guidance, and direction based on their unique experience and perspective.
Officials inform us the nominal fee will be $45 for each voice actor and includes a minimum of 2 times on mic during 2 to 3 hours of rigorous instruction and fun.
Oh, 2 to 3 hours of rigorous instruction and fun, or what your husband calls Saturday night. Hey-oh, sounds like quite a good time there, patty cake bakers man.
It's Patricia. Recapping our top story, Middle Class VO Zoom workout, Monday, May 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. For more information or to register, email middleclassvo@gmail.com. Again, that's middleclassvo@gmail.com.
Yeah, so they've won awards for their podcast. What do they call the awards? The potties?
We now resume the Middle Class VO podcast, already in progress. Workouts are just fun and informative, and you always will take away something with it. So we're looking forward to working with you.
Until next time, this is Kevin Kilpatrick in Nashville, and Bobbi is also in Nashville. Woo! And my wife, my legal wife, is back there somewhere. But anyway, we will talk to you next time on the Middle Class VO podcast. Thanks for listening. Subscribe and like and tell a friend.
Bye-bye now.
The Middle Class VO Podcast is a K2 Media Productions production.
All views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests. The McVob jingle was written and produced by Kevin.
Co-produced and performed by Chloe Dolandis.
Additional engineering by Zach Zimmett.
Bobby's hair and makeup by Rebecca Adlita.
Kevin's wardrobe by Slippery Pete's Fashion Emporium.
All previous episodes are available for download on Podbean.
For the Middle Class VO Podcast, I'm Tracy Thibodeau.
I'm Lisa Lou Perry.
Thanks for listening.
And don't miss the next episode of
The Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.